someone else is on the moon. NASA seems to have kept this a secret for a long time. Since ancient times, people have studied the moon with the eyes and intent of a researcher hoping to find something extraordinary. In the 1960s, the Brookings report detailed the challenges that a man living on the moon would encounter. And this study was a precursor to the discovery of evidence of alien civilizations on the moon. Now we know that Carl Sagan had a theory. He says, if aliens exist, a beautiful place for them to be watching our Earth is from the dark side of the moon. Now, since ancient times, they studied the moon, and the study was a precursor to discovering evidence of ancient civilization on the moon. Their existence possibly of conquering an off-Earth civilization, scientific and technical achievements on the moon. George Leonard released a book titled Somebody Else is on the Moon in the United Kingdom in 1977. G. Leonard is a pseudonym that somebody uses to keep their identity private, and it's a mystery as to who's behind this actual book. This is extremely knowledgeable individual with access to top secret information. The book included 35 images, some of them are here, with a NASA code number and dozens of detailed drawings that were created from NASA photos of high quality, large format, expert remarks, and extensive bibliography all included. And this information is kept secret. This book was not considered important by the International Society because its contents were unreliable. However, in the early 1990s, astonishing, incredible information that remains of the remnants of oldest and disputable alien civilization may be found on the moon. And it was proven. Ken Johnston, the former leader of NASA's Lunar Laboratory Picture Service, as well as numerous other former NASA engineers and scientists, broke the news at a press conference in Washington. NASA's cover-up of Apollo pictures depict ancient lunar ruins was the key theme. Ken Johnston exposed what was kept secret for the rest of 40 years, at least 40 years. Apollo astronauts captured architectural and technical remnants from an ancient civilization on Mars as well. The astronauts also discovered a previously unknown gravity-controlled device. Perhaps they are able to master anti-gravity technology. During the Apollo program, Ken Johnston's bosses at NASA instructed him to trash the images, but he defied instructions and preserved them. Johnston showed some of the images to the media, and these images are proof of extraterrestrial civilization. What was the first thing that journalists noticed when they were surprised? The film included city ruins, massive spherical things made of glass, floating stone buildings and castles, and even a robot's head. The Americans, according to Johnston, believed something to Earth that NASA delivered something to Earth that NASA had kept hidden for a generation. Numerous moon-related discoveries have puzzled geologists. One example was the discovery of an orange glass pyramid whose origins are still unknown. There must be something else that was discovered. Following the meeting, additional NASA whistleblowers uploaded many of the same eye-opening lunar photographs on NASA's numerous websites. These images are high resolution. Because of the internet, people all over the globe, even regular citizens, were able to view these amazing images without restrictions. So is NASA truly hiding the real moon all these years? After this remarkable news conference, an interview was published with Richard Hoagland. He is a NASA consultant, founder and chief researcher for the Enterprise Mission Organization. He served as a scientific advisor to CBS News at NASA Jet Engine Laboratory during Apollo 11. And you can find a lot of his videos on internet. Now, Johnston were responsible for the leakage of the information, and here is his thoughts about the newly discovered culture. He says, I believe the Apollo project proved the presence of an incredible old but yet human civilization on the moon. It's terrible to consider in whose knee our forefathers put it down. However, we've only been allowed to share a small portion of the evidence NASA has received concerning an ancient, long-lost human civilization which suggests that man previously roamed the whole solar system. NASA has classified data that NASA collected from Mars to support these claims. Are you inquiring if this new Atlantis ruins have been discovered on the moon? To begin with, I believe it would be more accurate to refer to ancient Atlantis. That civilization's great science allowed them to travel from Earth to the moon hundreds or perhaps millions of years ago and construct structures out of a substance that resembled glass. And you can deduce this from the publicly available materials. There is an Egyptian story about Thoth, or Hermes Trismegistus, and I have a playlist of the Emerald Tablets he claims to have written, and he does say that they had interstellar travel and also interdimensional travel, and that they obviously had spacecraft. So the Egyptian story about Thoth, the god of knowledge, which is said to be a fallen deity from the moon that taught men writing, language, and other skills. And by combining the efforts of several governments, it's possible to prove or deny the existence of a civilization at the moon. It's essential to send a mission to the moon in cooperation. What technologies did you use on the moon? The book Dark Mission, NASA's Secret History, was written and released by Johnston and Hoagland in an attempt to inform the entire world about the true narrative that awaits everyone on the moon. They've also talked about Mars, what was found on Mars. But anyway, they claim that the moon technology shows high technical progress. Soviet Union sent an all-terrain vehicle to the moon that captured images from an ancient civilization. After careful examination, however, they were classified. NASA and the Soviet government also kept secret the existence of alien civilization-created structures, as well as technology. All of these may be found not only on the moon, but on other planets in our solar system. Mars, for example. It was also believed that Americans never went to the moon, and that the episode featuring the landing of the American astronaut in space was simply filmed in a studio. This is a fabrication. The writers of the book believe that this myth was purposefully military deception based on NASA's facts and research. It intended to conceal what NASA discovered on the moon and returned to Earth. This was just 1 month after the first moonwalkers returned to Earth, and they are certain that the foundation of that deception, we have never gone to the moon, was established by NASA itself based on what they witnessed with their own eyes. And what did NASA discover on the moon? It was a form of insurance against the dreadful question what NASA actually discovered on the moon. And the authors argue that the construction of the myth of the moon gave NASA confidence in its ability to keep everything linked to the failed moon study mission hidden. It's not public knowledge that astronauts received top secret orders to cover all the valuable old alien technologies found in the region. Richard Hoagland and other academics claim that an alien species used the moon to transit Earth while carrying out activities on Earth. These theories are supported by myths and folklore from many cultures around the globe. Scientists are forced to reconsider their views on the problems facing our satellite by thousands of kilometers of lunar city ruin, giant transparent domes perched on top of massive bases, tunnels, and other structures. Another important scientific topic is the origin of our moon and its relationship to Earth. Natural geographical formations cannot be blamed for certain partially ruined items on the moon's surface. They have a complex organization, geometric structure, a structure surrounded by high walls that forms the letter D in the Rima-Hadley region near the Apollo 15 landing site. There are 44 locations on the moon where artifacts of different types have been found. They are being investigated by specialists from Space Information Bank Center at the Goddard Space Flight Center, as well as the Planetary Institute in Houston. The Tycho crater was home to mysterious terrace-like rocky soil structures. Natural geological processes cannot explain the concentric hexagonal workings and the presence of a tunnel entrance on the terrace's slope. It's more akin to a large-scale open-pit mining operation. You may see a transparent dome rising above the Copernicus crater shaft, and this dome emits blue-white light from the inside. Even by lunar standards, there is an intriguing item in the top section of the factory area, a well-known disc measuring approximately 50 meters and that's 150 feet in diameter, and with a dome on its top, rests on a square base surrounded by rhombus-shaped walls. The entrance to an underground copioneer's chamber appears as a black-colored orifice in the ground. A completely regular rectangle region of 300 by 400 meters lies between the Copernicus crater and the factory area. The Apollo 10 crew captured a 1-mile wide object known as the Castle that hovers in an altitude of 14 kilometers and throws a visible shadow on the moon's surface. And it seems that to be composed of several cylindrical components and a large binding unit. The interior cellular structure of the hanging castle is visible in one of the pictures, giving the appearance that individual chunks of the item are transparent. During the briefing, which was attended by several NASA experts, it was revealed that when Richard Hoagland went back to the NASA archive to retrieve the original images of the castle, they were no longer there. They were even missing from the Apollo 10 crew's photo collection. In the archive, they are only intermediate images, and its interior structure is not evident. After reaching the moon's surface, the crew of Apollo 12 realized that they had landed under the direction of a transparent pyramid-shaped object. It shimmered with all the hues of a rainbow against the black velvet of the lunar sky as it hung just a few meters above the moon's surface. And during the briefing, which was attended by several NASA experts, it was revealed that when Richard Hoagland went back to the NASA archives to retrieve the photos, they were no longer there. Now, NASA eventually analyzed the prospective effects of such control in 1969 after seeing a tape of astronauts on their way to the Sea of Storms when they saw these unusual items, afterwards dubbed striped spectacles, for the second time. Quote, "I still have a neck pain from having to continually turn my head because we truly felt we were not alone there," end quote. Astronaut Mitchell remarked in response to the correspondent's query, "How do you feel after a safe return?" "All I could do was pray." Johnston, who worked in the Houston Space Center, collaborated with other experts to examine the photo and video data collected throughout the Apollo program's execution. Richard Hoagland discussed lunar relics and mentioned that NASA management is bothered by the number of strange, to put the matter mildly, items found on the moon. The manned missions on the moon were always in danger of being cancelled. It was also helpful to heat up the situation by using footage from Apollo 14, which had several parts edited out. Researchers are especially interested in ancient buildings, which resemble partially destroyed cities. The orbital study revealed that square and rectangular buildings have a surprising regular shape. They mimic the view from a height between 5 to 8 kilometers and our cities. And here's what a mission control specialist had to say about the images. Quote, "Are people observing from space the remnants of ancient moon cities, translucent pyramids, domes, and God knows what else, now concealed in not just NASA's safes," end quote. "We feel like Robinson Crusoe having discovered naked human tracks on the moist sand of a deserted island. What conclusions are geologists and planetology drawing from photographs of the remains, lunar cities, and other anomalies items? They don't believe that they are natural structures. Quote, "We must acknowledge their man-made origins," end quote. Even more so in the case of the domes and pyramids, end quote. An alien civilization intelligence activities surface unexpectedly near to us. We were not psychologically prepared for this, and many individuals still struggle with it. And this is on Collective Spark. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.